Okay, so we have another person erroneously comparing me to Elliot Rodger with videos that I had on YouTube from like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I don't know. The right wing will always like bring up the past, and then they'll like pretend that they're liberals online to discredit liberals. This whole thing that's going on. I'm discussing this with like more adult friends than the immature call-out culture dorks that even Obama doesn't like, about how they'll just pretend to be left-wing on the internet. For one thing, Elliot Rodger hated women. He was an incel. In incel, you have to be a misogynist. I'm sorry, did I pronounce that wrong? Are you irritated? You have to be a misogynist and hate women. Plenty of videos where I've described the reason that women won't date me is because the patriarchy, which would be men with money in power, are pumping a same age, Proximus age, youth entitlement culture since the 60s. So if anybody has to be blamed for age phobia from young women or the bourgeoisie uptight attitude, it's the patriarchy, which is men. Most of my friends in school were women. Most of my friends now that I talk to on a regular basis are women. Most of them are my age or older. I've clearly on my old channel, The Wern, talked about how I embrace nonviolence. I have several videos where I've talked about how I think that war is stupid and silly and we should just solve things through board game combat. Elliot Rodger was 22, I'm 40. Sure, I want to show love and affection towards women or whatever, but every dude does that likes women. I'm not out there blaming the women. I'm blaming the patriarchy. I'm blaming the misogynist men for pumping an image of me being a bad guy. There are certain women that I wouldn't date. Like if you come at me with like a bunch of ad hominem attacks calling me Satan because you think it's cute and funny, I might roll with that for a little bit, but ultimately it's not going to work out because you're a Christian and I'm an atheist. And I don't like the ad hominem attacks, because I'll start with the ad hominem attacks back, and I don't want that kind of relationship. I like it to be fun. I don't care if you're a Christian, but if you're not like nice to me, I don't see a reason to date you. I'll just let you go and let some other dude suffer because of you. Me living and peacefully and calmly seeing some dude suffer because of your misandrist attitude is plenty of reason for me to embrace nonviolence and to not be suicidal. Because I know if you're out there like running your mouth, making claims without evidence and like shooting him down, that he's just gonna suffer. And it'll be you doing it because you're a narcissist. You know, I'm an atheist, so like 5% of the United States is atheist. You know, most Christians that you meet, which would be about 75% of the country, only date other Christians because of love thy neighbor, love thy enemy being completely ignored, which is Jesus's words, which was John 13:34-35, where he basically said you need to love each other or you're not a Christian. And I see so many Christians that are just hate-filled and mean. So, you know, the typical Christian from my viewpoint is an asshole or a douchebag or just a, you know, a condescending person that no one would want to hang out with anyway. Like if I tell you an atheist and you see Satan in my eyes, one, you're schizophrenic because Satan doesn't exist. God doesn't exist. I don't recall God ever being proven. If you're a Christian or an atheist or a Jew, it doesn't matter to me. If you're not like showing empathy towards other human beings, you're a loser. I think there are plenty of people that live on the street that you could go and help that you're not because you're stuck in your little pedantic bourgeoisie, self-centered, self-righteousness, violent, bigoted, hostile attitude problem, and you need to grow the fuck up. See, that's what I like. Kindness towards others is how I judge people. It doesn't matter to me how much money you have or how much status you have or influence, or how many movies you've starred in, or how many rock songs you have memorized on the guitar to pick up chicks, or, you know, a lovely voice for dudes, or like how sexy you are, or how hot you are. I mean, that all could be kind of playing into it. I do like good-looking, attractive women, but, you know, if you're not a kind person, that doesn't really matter to me. It all goes out the window. And I do have kind of an edginess. It's not really an edginess that I like about myself, but it's an edginess that's clearly directed at men way more than it is directed at women. I have millennial friends, I have Zoomer friends, I have Gen X friends, I have baby boomer friends. The whole okay boomer thing sounds a little too Elliot Rodger for me. It's clearly the rich people in power that are the problem. And violence is not going to solve this issue. What's going to solve the issue is talking about it and having a discourse. Comparing me to Elliot Rodger is like comparing a cat to a mud puddle. You're clearly mistaken, and you're a kid compared to me. I've been on this planet for 40 years. I know the types that are misogynistic and gaslighting and narcissistic, which I've proven in all my videos. I've shown empathy, I've shown kindness, I've shown willingness to laugh at myself. If you don't like me, that's not my problem. That's your problem. Deal with it yourself on your own time. Dragging me through the mud, you're just ignoring everything that I've told you that would help you in an age gap relationship. If you got to be a bigot, that's not my problem. That is your problem. I have 40 board games. We can duke this out logically and reasonably with a conversation or playing a game, but violence is not the answer. It never has been the answer. Think of how when people go to war, who does it benefit? Well, it mostly benefits the billionaires. Do you want that? I sure as shit don't. I think that that's short-sighted and not forthright to go to war and to become a soldier, because you're going to come back, if you come back in something other than a body bag, you're going to come back and think, you know what, war's bullshit, because my mom did that. She was not in war, but she was stationed. My stepdad was not in war, but he was stationed. They both came back like, fuck war, during the Vietnam and Korea eras. So, yeah, good luck with that. You're really just out there, bang, bang, shoot 'em up to prove that you're a tough person, whether you're a chick or a dude, but you're going to come back and you're going to hate the rich. And you're going to hate the fact that the billionaires used you as a pawn, because their violence makes them rich. The way that you are used as a person in the military is as a pet or a slave. And you come back and you might have some benefits like a GI Bill, if that even exists anymore. If you listen to some Bernie Sanders, it doesn't sound like it's that great. If you got to solve your problems with violence, you're a child. And I've said that on plenty of my videos on the channel The Worm. You just running your mouth is not going to solve anything, boy. You're just there blushing because you're stupid. Being a hater is one against all logic and reason, because it's just going to come back to you. Obama doesn't like the call-out culture, so clearly you're probably a Republican. Bernie Sanders doesn't really like the call-out culture. You know, with regular people calling out regular people. That's the call-out culture. Not calling out like bigwigs and conservatives and like bigots and billionaires for their shit. That's not call-out culture. That's them destroying the world and other people saying, look, man, just because you're rich doesn't mean you get to destroy the world. That call-out culture is okay. Obama's talking about how like you're a regular person and you have a feud with somebody and you call them out and you drag somebody into your bullshit. That's the shit that he's talking about being foul. So if you don't abide the words that Obama said there, you're a Republican, which makes you a loser. Trump supporters are the violent ones. You know 8chan got taken down because of the racists causing the mass shootings. I don't see how violence solves any of these problems. How does violence solve any of these problems? Antifa are morons. They got a third grade attitude about like, oh, we're going to go to the playground and beat the hell out of some Republicans, when they could just go have a conversation. But they don't, because they're just pent-up rage edgelords that don't know what the hell they're doing. If I went with Antifa, I'd be like, look, man, let's just play some checkers or something, or some Feast for Odin, and like not talk about politics and see if we can get along on a personal level. You getting all triggered about every little fucking thing and having to get all punchy with the Republicans in the street is more Elliot Rodger than I've ever been in my life. I've been in exactly 2 fights, and they weren't even all that fights. One dude was tugging on my jacket in the 8th grade, so I punched him, and I got detention, and he got double the detention. My younger brother was bragging about how he had a girlfriend I didn't when he was in 10th grade, a girl that I hooked him up with, and so I slapped him. And other than that, I've never been violent in my life. I've been angry, but think of the capitalist system. I'll go into this for hours on how I hate capitalism. I'm forced to, by capitalism, you know, eat at corporate things. I mean, you saying that I'm a capitalist because I want money through my Patreon account is kind of like the people who say, well, you work at McDonald's, so therefore you're a capitalist. Or you work as a machinist, therefore you're a capitalist. Never minding the fact that you're in a labor union, you're still a capitalist. Those kind of assholes. The whole, like, you know, like, we're going to call out people on the street. Just makes a lot of people laugh because you're the one being kind of an Aspergy redneck. Or a dude bro wigger, and just being like all up in people's places and a clone, and you are the bro people, the society that's kind of dying down because nobody likes Trump's violence attitude problem. And Bernie's there saying, well, we don't want war, we want diplomacy, and I'm for the diplomacy. I don't get how you compare me to Elliot Rodger, a misogynistic 22-year-old kid that killed people. Where have I killed anybody? Where have I ever advocated violence? Are you pulling things from like 3 years ago when I moved to Spokane from Olympia, liberal in a liberal area for most of my life, for 36 years, and then I come to this conservative podunk redneck town to see if I could change things and to kind of like accept things about Washington that I didn't like and maybe have some sort of positive impact and learn about cultures other than my own? And it was kind of a culture shock. Well, I've still never advocated violence. I've never hated women. I'm a little ticked off about the age difference and how that's always like the problem. Or it's always like we need to, you know, disparage Lucas and call him Satan, even though he's out there trying to do good and give back to the homeless, like food, and he doesn't really want to like video record it, but you won't take anything on faith, and that makes sense because Lucas is an anti-theist, so he does prove that he's given to the homeless. It's more than what you guys have done. So if violence is the problem, I'm certainly not the one pushing for violence. To say that is a lie. You are making a claim without evidence.